Good Friday morning, and welcome to Ice Age TV, the internal combustion engine age YouTube channel that talks about all my cars and trucks and SUVs, motorcycles. There's my old sticker, Ice Age TV, and wow, it's Friday. Wow, it's already Friday. Good Lord, life. It's beautiful up here. Hey, good morning to everybody who watches my channel. Appreciate you tuning in and watching and listening to my views and ideas and thoughts, and hopefully you get something out of it. Hopefully you're happier than happier, not unhappier, right? But I don't know, sometimes the message gets deep, right? It's all the way the brain thinks. It's just how our brains operate. It's how you process information. Wow, such a beautiful weather up here. Just such the time of year where you just want to be outside doing things. But it's gonna be short-lived because tomorrow, Saturday and Sunday, it's gonna be actually raining and 50s. Wow. And it's actually cool this morning. Shirt on and another pullover. Got my long jeans back on. So the shorts for the John Fetterman look, it's over. Yeah, the John Fetterman look, if you know who that senator is in Pennsylvania that dresses like an HVAC guy, or like a hoodie guy, a thug, you get that message. But yeah, so here we are. Beautiful morning. Come on, pups. My other dog's hanging out with Kiefer, stuffing his face, eating. Come on, pups. Here is the Ford Bronco. The Bronco, I even have a hat on. That vehicle is just the baddest ass SUV in that category ever in my lifetime. And it definitely has that look. Either you think that it's really cool looking, or you think it's hideous. I mean, it's just kind of how we are. Just kind of how the brain processes the way we look at things. We each have our own love and hate for things. Sadly, the hate side, sadly. But look at that. I just think this Ford Bronco is such a great vehicle. I rode around it yesterday, about 250 miles. And this thing just rocks. I mean, this is a 100 mile an hour vehicle. I mean, I'm not lying to you by saying that, meaning it just goes 100 miles an hour like nothing. It doesn't struggle, doesn't feel funny. I mean, it's an 80, 85 mile an hour vehicle all day long, and just incredibly confident and not too noisy, even with this big flat windshield. I mean, even with this really, you look at the angle of that windshield, and that's typically what these vehicles get. Like the Jeep up here, we'll kind of walk up the Jeep, and that's what the Bronco is really competing against, is the Jeep, not the Gladiator, but the Wrangler. But it's all the same difference, because the Jeep Gladiator, this whole cockpit is the Jeep Wrangler. And look at that windshield. You know, these front windshields like this are so notorious for getting the good old chips in the windshield. Think of my poor Hellcat Charger. I gotta get this thing in. Yeah, with the change of season coming, definitely the garage starts to get rearranged. And oh my gosh, it just doesn't act. It's slowly recovering. I can definitely feel how I can pinch the nerve, because it goes down the lower left side of my back and down to my leg. But the projects don't end. When you're the best, worst employee of the company, you never get to sit down per se. So what are you doing now? Yeah, how stupid can I be? How stupid am I? The brain, right? Brain. I thought to myself this morning, we will have the brain conversation. I don't think I've ever had that. Yeah, can I really talk much about that with my pea-sized brain? Here's F-250, beautiful truck. Here is my car hauler that I bought back in I think it was like January or February 2017. And I got to take this thing to Tennessee. And the birds get this damn thing. So this car hauler and that truck today are going for a ride. And I don't think I've used that truck yet for that trailer. I got to bring back some vehicles. Yeah, that has to be done. I'm running out of time, and the change of season is here. So that's a whole nother freaking project. Yeah, you'll probably see some videos on that. And so yeah, so what spurred the brain idea? The brain idea is these vehicles. This vehicle here has what they call an ECU, ECM, engine control module, or an engine control unit. That's the word The brain technology in these vehicles is under ECU. But I thought to myself this morning, how does that work anymore, being there's so much technology today in these vehicles? That lighting over there, and more so electric vehicles. So is it called VCU? V as in Victor? Is it a vehicle control unit now? I mean, there is no engine per se in this vehicle. I mean, you could say to yourself, well, the battery pack is the engine. That's the energy of the vehicle. Yeah, I guess. But I think more than ever, where we are in today's society, it's more of the vehicle control unit. And the reason I say that, for my own pea brain, is the brains in this car. It's incredible of how much technology is in this Ford Mustang Mach-E GT, that it's more than just an ECU, engine controlling unit, controlling the power of the vehicle. It's controlling the electronic steering. It's controlling the electronic brakes. It's controlling actually you having your adaptive cruise control turned into the sonar control that allows you to drive behind somebody and follow them, and the car paces itself to whatever object is in front of it. And once again, you have the hands-free driving, but you just open up this vehicle, and it's just incredible on how, here's a push-button style. This isn't a door handle, your conventional door handle. It's a push-button. They get inside the car, then the whole little puny, cheap-ass looking screen here, pops up, and the big-ass screen pops up. And so there's just so much information. It's so stupid in this car. There's no rear hatch button here. You have to go to that main screen to be able to pop the hatch. It is so stupid. It's the stupidest thing in the world. In the back here, same thing. Little push button to get in the car. Okay? Which is, when the battery's dead, you ain't getting in the car. But one nice thing about Ford, this here is actually a manual release if the car battery goes dead. That's a big complaint and a big concern for a lot of people that have these electric vehicles. This is a manual override to get in the vehicle. And then look at your transmission here. It's a dial where when you put this vehicle in gear, it's all electronic. It's not like the old days where we grew up with a transmission shifter or a manual transmission, and you actually, had the linkage in your hand basically to put that vehicle from park to reverse to neutral to drive. It's all electronic. So I guess, I'm sure the word VCU is out there. Somebody out there may know better than me on that. I didn't really look it up, to be very frank with you. And what kind of drove the brain thing was yesterday, I just saw a brief article of Elon Musk on this Neuralink chip that he has gotten approval for to start putting in your head. You're going to start having this is like the Terminator movie. But here's the collection of motorcycles. Technically, I'm supposed to take my motorcycle down and get the tire fixed on this Indian right here. But I've been so busy that I don't even know if the tire came in. I'm about to find out. Tire came in. I've got the Indian, the last run of the actual Indian approved dealership rug I bought down at the Indian dealer. So I'm going to get that. But I got so much going on. Just too many projects. But the whole point is, over here we go to these motorcycles, and same thing. These vehicles now have so much technology in them, the higher end ones. I'm not talking about the Street Bob or the Fury. I'm talking more about the high-end touring bikes. You have so much technology in vehicles where I showed you yesterday, where you have electronic suspension here, where you have the different ride modes of the engine management on how this vehicle performs. And it takes forever when you get these motorcycles and everything. It's just like, hello. So hey, electric bicycle. You ever one of those things? Those things are really cool. All right, so right in here, I'll go in here in a second if I can get in there. But so see here, this is all your vehicle control unit technology. You look at the electronic fuel display. Tells you what gear it's in. I mean, it's incredible how much of a brain is in this motorcycle for this vehicle. See here, you've got rain, mode, standard mode, sport mode, and then you've got your passengers, 1 passenger, 2 passenger, luggage. I showed this yesterday, so it's kind of redundant, but somebody else new to watching the channel would see. But the whole thing is, this vehicle has its brain, I would say a VCU more than engine, even though the engine ECU, engine control unit, definitely controls how the engine runs because it's fly by the wire. Well, you realize it or not, this doesn't have a cable. This is all on microchip technology. And when you turn this throttle, it's talking to a computer to tell it to give it more energy, release more fuel. So that's, there's a whole other thing I think a lot of people don't even know. On these motorcycles these days, they call it fly by the wire. Harley started doing it years ago, and then others followed. Years ago, you had a cable here that would be a cable that pulled back the carburetor, which says I'm a carburetor more. These are all fuel-injected motorcycles. You don't want a carbureted bike. Now, over here, it's interesting. This Fury, you've never looked at this before? This Fury is at the old style. It's just the old style actual cable that runs the machine. I don't know. I'm not that in-depth with that technology. Same thing here. When you come over to this car, it has the one pedal driving. This vehicle here has the brake and the accelerator pedal. It's not the gas pedal, it's an accelerator pedal. And what's really neat about the technology electronic or these electric cars is you can do one pedal driving where the brake motors, the brake motors operate as your brakes. So you can put this car in one pedal driving. As you accelerate, you push down the brake or the wheel motors. You have wheel motors. This has actually 4 wheel motors. Most have 2 wheel motors. And the vehicle, then electronic motors, then propel the car. But when you let off that accelerator pedal, when you come back, these wheel motors then actually act as brakes, and they slow the vehicle down. So it makes you just use your one foot, only using one pedal most of the time. You still have to use the brake every now and then. But this car here, even though it's an electric vehicle, and I'm not the guy to sit here and promote the electric vehicle world per se, because I'm not caught up in that green agenda, but this car handles like a performance car like I've never driven before. To me, this car drives like a Porsche. This car is so glued to the road, so tight, and so confident, and so fast. This is an extremely fun vehicle. But it's the electric agenda, so that's what kind of separates so many. They're like, yeah, but it's the whole electric agenda thing. I just don't like how the government's telling me how to live my life. And that's where the separation comes. And even Elon Musk made a really good comment. I'll read it to you later. The brain of the world. I mean, come on. Got to get upstairs. Elon Musk, our new brain of the world. I mean, I think Elon Musk does a lot of good, but also he kind of concerns me because is he going to become overconfident? Is he going to become too arrogant because so many people always praise him? A lot of people beat him up too. So I think Elon's a good guy. Overall, for the most part, considering his stature and what he's done, he seems to be making things to the better. Office is a mess. When you have a little German Shepherd puppy, it's terrorized. I've been terrorized. So here we are. I'm going to get this here. The dog decides just to get into all my stuff and shred it. And why isn't that cleaned up? Why did my kid pick that up? So the brain, our brains. And once again, Elon Musk, yesterday morning, posted, or yesterday sometime, that you can apply to be a Neuralink test person. Wow. Yikes. I mean, yeah, the Bionic Man, the Terminator, all that stuff's starting to happen for us older folks that watched all these movies 30, 40 years ago. What was the Bionic Man? Larry what? One of my subscribers told me the guy's name. I can't remember the guy's name. So, anyways, the vehicles that we live in today more than ever are controlled by these ECUs. And there's a really good article I read about the French. The French people, never think of the French people being the car people. I just don't. Even though what was the famous connoisseur guy out of California that had the famous collection of all these French cars? He just died like I think on the 15th of September or something like that, or maybe the 20th. I don't even know. I can't keep track of time. But some guy in California has this huge collection of French early, 1900 cars. So there's this French company in France that goes on an annual basis to Canada to compete in cybersecurity for vehicles. Because now, today, more than ever, we live in a cybersecurity world that's radical, that can hack our phones and computers, your house, your car. And that's what's a huge problem now. Apparently, in 2022, 1 million cars were stolen in this country. So that's basically a little over 80,000, 88 times 12 is 960. So you're talking over 80,000 cars a month are being stolen in this country. And you think about that per day, right? What is that per day? Like close to 3,000 a day, close to 3,000 cars a day right now are being stolen. So the huge challenge now is for the manufacturers to design these cars that can't be hacked. And apparently this article is talking about Tesla is the number one company at this time that is the hardest to hack. That Tesla has so many barriers in their infrastructure of their vehicle for you to be able to get in those vehicles. Because there's a running joke years ago, somebody's driving down the road, and I think somebody hacked a Jeep Grand Cherokee or a Jeep Cherokee, and was able to overtake the vehicle per se, and maybe steer it, I guess, maybe. I don't know. There's more to that, but I'm sure people have heard these stories and that's the concern of all this new technology coming along. Is you're going to have these whack jobs that are going to hack your car, and then they're going to have control of your car. Because everything I just showed you in that Ford Mustang Mach-E downstairs, everything is electronic. The accelerator pedal is electronic. The brake pedal is electronic. The put it in park, reverse, neutral, drive, electronic. Steering wheel, electronic. The way you set the different driving modes, that car there has different driving modes. You can go into the unbridled mode, or there's like 3 different drive modes. I should have probably showed you that, but I didn't. Sorry. So the whole vehicle is all being controlled by the big brain of the car, the brains of the vehicles. And so this company out of France, they apparently won the award, or apparently there's just a whole bunch of people congregate in Canada. And they all try to show how they can, hack these vehicles. It's a big thing. And the whole goal is to develop software and technology to beat the thieves. So that there's products out there that you can buy or use. Or I guess this company eventually wants to be able to manage it's like the Norton Security, McAfee, whatever it may be. I'm sure the growing trend is going to be when you buy a car now, oh, by the way, you can buy the Norton, for your car. I mean, I'm just guarantee that's where it's going. So anyways, this company apparently has been able to hack Tesla. They have accomplished that, but this is on the older models. So the newer models, they haven't been able to do that. And this is the big concern more than ever is what's going on with the knowledge and technology of the thieves getting this capability to hack cars is the older generation of cars are going to even be easier to steal. Because what they look at is a person buys a new phone. You buy an iPhone, you'll keep it 2, 3, 4, 5 years. Typical person maybe. Well, a person goes out and buys a car, a lot of those people may keep those cars 10 years or longer. So they're saying that as time progresses, all this new technology coming in these cars will be outdated and old, the next 5, 10 years. But the technology of the thieves will have hacked these vehicles and figured things out. And so they're going to target these older vehicles. As an example, you could say like my Mustang Mach-E. It's a 2022 vehicle. And you fast forward 5 years from now. So in 2027, is that vehicle more hackable? Has Ford been able to update it with the software? And that's another thing. That type of car there, I would think Ford would have the capability to update it with software, over-the-air software updates to maybe do that. But if you go back
3, 4, 5 years ago prior to that to a vehicle. So anyways, the concern is that the thievery of electric devices being in these vehicles is going to grow. And it's going to even be more rampant than ever as time progresses. But once again, I think this coming from France, I mean, it's a great idea. Think about this. If you're a creative individual to create the software for the Norton Security type of package for people's future cars, I wonder who's developing that. And for me, I'm sure somebody could reach out and say, yeah, they already kind of have that. I don't know. I'm just thinking off the tip of my tongue. My pea brain. Yeah, I'm a pea brain. I'm not the professor of the world on my YouTube channel. I don't want to come across that way. If anybody's watching me, that isn't who I am. There's a lot smarter people than me, and I get all that. I just like to share my sometimes stupid ideas and views and thoughts and ideas. So for Elon Musk, this Neuralink, the Neuralink. I mean, wow. And I'm sure people have heard about Elon Musk wanting to put a semiconductor little itty bitty chip in your head. And now, apparently, I guess the government is allowing him to create the Frankenstein. I mean, I don't know. I mean, so he's literally looking for, I guess, applicants to volunteer to put this little chip in your brain. And what they say is this chip will be more about helping maybe people that are paralyzed, people that have major physical injuries. It's about the nerves, more the nerves, I guess, and they're saying this chip may enable you to do superhuman things. I mean, it's crazy. It's deeper and bigger than I know because I just didn't spend a lot of time reading about it. And wow. But I think the brains of the vehicles that we have in these cars and where it's all going is this. It'll be you interacting with your car with this microchip in your head. The way you think, I mean, it gets deep and heavy. But here's an interesting article I read. So Ducati, the motorcycle company, and actually Honda, the Honda Motorsports, not the cars, apparently 10 years ago was talking about this technology. So Ducati is wanting to implement how vehicles talk to each other. So this is it really sounds like a really good idea. But at the same time, I think there's a lot of variables that make it not such a good idea. But the whole idea is that newer vehicles have the technology where vehicles communicate to each other so you're around each other. So the example of what the Ducati motorcycle software implies and what they're wanting to do to put in cars, other vehicle cars, is that there's a motorcyclist around you. So in your navigation screen, your smart screen, you're going to see when a motorcycle comes up on you that it's on the right side of your car, behind you, left side of the car. Maybe it's approaching in an intersection as you come up to an intersection. I mean, it's a really great idea. And it can be used for the cars and pedestrians per se. I guess if a pedestrian has a chip in their head, right? Oh my gosh, where's this all going, right? Wow. So, but apparently Honda had this idea years ago. And what the reason is, there's traffic fatalities with motorcyclists on an ongoing basis because people just aren't aware that their presence. They don't know where their presence. I mean, it's a huge problem. And motorcycles are so small in so many aspects that they just get clouded in to all the things going around you in a car. And all of a sudden, there's a motorcycle in front of you as you're turning left in an intersection, and that person now may not be alive by the time you stop to try to avoid him because he T-bones you. You T-bone him, whatever it could be the same thing. So that's a pretty creative idea. So the whole idea of that is really about opening the door up where the cars and vehicles talk to each other. Wow. Yeah, I mean, that's the next phase and our vehicles are communicating each other. But boy, then you just think to yourself, wow, it's the open airwaves, the cloud that opens that total hackability even more. I mean, as a person now have the opportunity to, come up on you in their car that really, deliberately slows you down and you can go blasting around them. I mean, you get that. If you got a guy that's kind of like locking the lane down, who hasn't had this where the person like intentionally locks you in, and now your car can intentionally make their vehicle slow down so you can get by them. I mean, it gets, the variables go crazy. I mean, oh my gosh, right? Yeah, and then where does the police mode? Remember the radar detectors? Isn't it the number one thing that if you're a speedster, you want that radar detector? Even though Waze, in some ways, is the radar detector of the new age of knowing kind of where the police are, and that was a big thing here a while back. The police really got upset. There was somebody out there on a mission to wanting to have capability to track all these police cars through their cellular, phones in their cars and all this other stuff. That was a very, there's an individual out there literally wanting the capability. And, for all I know, somebody watching my channel will be like, well, in so many ways they do. You do know where all the police are. But that was kind of and I never got into real deep into it. But it's all about the brains around us. I mean, more than ever, our brains. But at the same time, who here doesn't feel like the brains of mankind seem to be getting stupider? I mean, if you're witnessing the likes of like the guy John Fetterman, that Chuck Schumer of New York, senator, has changed the rules on how your dress code to be a senator to come to the Capitol, to attend, meetings and everything else. You can borderline wherever you want. It's just like, I mean, it's just, and so we just, among us, the UN, we're now, in New York, the UN is here, and United Nations is all having their powwow and their conversations, and Zelensky from Ukraine is here, and now we have McCarthy, who's got a challenge of getting his side of the party to come to closure on, do they close the government for the differences of money, where money's being allocated. It's just like, and more than ever in our society, we have these political figures and leaders, and you just think, how do these brains of these individuals operate? How do they process information? And that's the thing that I started saying to myself years ago, is you look around yourself and you just scratch your head on how people process information, and how they gather facts, gather what they look at, they gather hearing things, and then they process this information, and they feel as if what they've come to closure at is the right way to look at things. And more than ever, I'm sure so many people would be like, yes, but these are whack jobs. These are Fruit Loops. I mean, more than ever in the public school system, you're seeing videos of teachers that go to teach kids things that you just think, I mean, oh my gosh, I ran across a woman yesterday out and about my travels, and she was talking about her 5-year-old kindergarten kid, and she's already very concerned for his well-being of what she's already kind of feeling that's going on from what he's doing. She's already just like, wow. And the school year just got going, where she's borderline like, I just want to take him out of this. I just want to homeschool him. Yeah, it's homeschooling in the private schooling sector taking off like never seen. I don't know the numbers. I would think it is. I mean, anymore, and now with all this child care subsidy being taken away, you would think a lot of more women, this has to be a woman to be a man, is going to raise their hand and go, I got 2 kids. This is $1,000 a week child care. Doesn't make any sense. I'd rather stay home and raise my kids and teach them how to be who I am and how to rationalize and think things clearly, and not have this, the Looney Tunes be unbelievable of our society running things. Now here's Sean Fain, the ongoing UAW. How does this guy's brain process information? So they're saying now that this 32-hour work week is kind of really in the background, big time in the background. That isn't being talked a lot about. But here's what the gist of that is. So apparently, the 32-hour work week proposal is they want 8 hours paid 5 days a week. Yeah, did you just hear me? 8 times 5 is 40. So what they're saying is they're going to work 4 days, and then on 1 day of the week, they get paid to go do whatever they want. So that's kind of, but that doesn't really once again, the article is saying that isn't really on the main subject at this moment. But that information was presented to the big three, is that these individuals want to have off 52 days of paid leave, not vacation, not taking vacation. So if you stop and think about it, if you're the president of Ford or GM or Stellantis, if you're the management, the list goes on and on. If you're the factory manager for these locations, you just think to yourself, okay, so now one guy, X amount of people every week are going to be not on the assembly line. And then this person's got X amount of years, and they've got either 2 to 4 weeks of vacation and sick leave. I mean, you're going to say, so 52 divided by what? How many weeks is that? If you take a work week, right? 52 days divided by, 5 days? So what is that? So that's 10 weeks? 10 weeks. So you're talking now 14 weeks out of the year, 14 weeks. Okay? What's there? 4 weeks in a month? 4 times 3 is 12. 3.5 months, close to 4 months out of the year. This sounds like to school teachers. Yeah, so you're talking about, if you look at the bigger picture, these guys are processing information that they now want 3.5 months off of work per year, with being paid like they work 12 months a year. Wow. What are these people smoking? I mean, what is Sean Fain? I don't think the guy's a pothead, but anymore, what are people smoking? What are they sniffing? What are they injecting in their body? It is bad. It really is. We have leaders in this country that are dope heads. I mean dope heads. I'm not talking about being stupid, but they are. But I think they're doing major drugs. And that's the thing about the potheads of society. It's like John Fetterman yesterday, apparently was in front of the Senate. They're going back and forth on all this closure to the government again. And I'm not in great depth on that by any means. I didn't watch any of it. I'm just getting bits and pieces. But apparently the guy can't complete sentences. This is a sitting senator of Pennsylvania. Isn't it the right of the people to ask him to relieve his duties? Do you want a person that... So I thought to myself, okay, John, are you a long-term cannabis pot smoker? Because here's the reality. This is factual. I'm not making this stuff up. I'm just sharing information. I could be wrong. I don't know. I witnessed it. I have a family member that had this problem. Apparently, if you're a pothead and you smoke cannabis on a regular basis, at some point in your life, you have a very high chance of having a stroke. Yes, that's a known fact. And I've talked about it before. If you're a pothead that started smoking pot when you were a young person, maybe in your early teens, and you continue that through your adult life, it's a known fact that by the time you hit your 30s, you're loopy. You do not process information correctly. That pot has done brain cell damage, and you don't operate the way you should as an adult had you not smoked pot. And so it's huge. So I think John Fetterman's like, hey, John, what's your drug use history? So you've had a seizure. It's probably related to, and I could be totally wrong. You guy could have medical history, family history. He's a huge guy. Who the heck knows? I don't know. I'm just throwing it out there. But here's the right reality. You would say it's the right thing to do is to relieve your duties, wouldn't you? Wouldn't you think it'd be the right thing to do if you're an individual that can't process information, can't even speak clearly? Who voted this guy in? What is this guy giving back to the community? I can only imagine what I think the guy is giving back to the community. And I don't think it's the good stuff. Yeah, so does that guy have a pea-sized brain? Here's the thing. I guess if you're a pothead, I guess you kill so many brain cells. I could be wrong on this, and don't take it the wrong way. Anybody smokes pot out there. I'm just talking off the tip of my tongue. But does your brain become a pea brain? I don't know. I just thought of that one. Yeah, so what's going to happen to the brain in these cars? I can tell you one thing. The good old boys want to rip the brains out of these cars all day long. The good old boys want nothing to do with these new cars that don't have these brains in them. So, yeah, wow. Yeah, how many people today are like, I want my car is 20 years old. I'll never get rid of it forever for all the things you're talking about. Because they're going to track you. They're going to control you. Yeah, we all know this story, right? I mean, sincerely. We all know that where it's going, the control factor. And that's with this Neuralink with Elon Musk. It's like, here's Elon Musk once again. The guy has people around him. So I think it's dangerous. So many people say Elon is this incredibly smart individual. I agree. I think Elon's a very astute individual, but I also think he has a lot of people around him feeding him ideas and information. We have that type of wealth and money. Wouldn't you want to buddy up with Elon and maybe give him an idea that you get rewarded for? I mean, come on. I mean, are you kidding me? So the whole point is, with Elon, here we go. He took the Tesla cars. He put video cameras in every one of them. He has helped advance the full self-driving, FSD, full self-driving. And what's he doing next? Because all these cars saw everything. Now he's going to tap into your brain and body, and he's going to be getting back information like never seen before of the genetic makeup of mankind, that he truly is the future creator of mankind. Wow. Wow. Is anybody following this show? What's going to start to play out for us? Wow. And it's going to control your way you think, probably? I mean, come on. Is where this coming to total domination of this control of society, of mankind trying to control it? Wow, we are just, wow. The brain, how the brain processes information. I mean, come on. Oh, yeah. It's just, wow. I mean, you even step back, and I'm sure anybody here that watches my channel, and you see the things that are going on around us, you just think to yourself, but why? Why? I mean, what is being accomplished from all this? Besides even more control and more dominance and more money, like Zelensky. I mean, I don't know. Does anybody understand this war with Ukraine? And, I get on this X every now and then. I make a comment. So a very well-known ex-gentleman there that used to be, I guess, down the hill or something. He said, if you ran into Zelensky, what would you ask him? So on X, I said, I would look at him and say, if Donald Trump had been reelected and was our sitting president, would you have taken your stance against Russia and expect to be funded like you are today under Joe Biden? I wonder what his answer would be. I mean, so think that through. Would Zelensky think that he could use Trump as the pawn to play Russia? That would play out for him versus Biden? I truly think that he would not be in a war with Russia. I think that the message would have been totally different, and he would have been like, I'm not going to get the support from these guys to hand me money, and I'm going to have to reevaluate this. I mean, who knows? I don't know. But I think that Joe Biden is a pawn beyond pawn, like never seen in our lifetime, for the powers to be behind him that are using him. And talk about the brain. I mean, this guy at the UN yesterday is praising this community of Latina people being black. I mean, I don't know. You read this? I didn't hear it. Did you see it? Joe Biden yesterday is telling the world at the UN that, hey, we're bringing all this global manufacturing back to our land because we have all this new immigration coming to our land. He was speaking of the Central America influx of immigration coming to this country to fulfill the jobs of these manufacturing plants. Wow. Did you just hear that? Now, the way he phrased it and worded it, you'd have to you look the way how he spoke that, and you have to say to yourself, yes, the illegals, but I talked about this yesterday, the amount of legal immigration coming to our country and the technology that we're taking on of semiconductors, solar panels, electric cars, electric batteries. I mean, I know you have the robotics end of it and all, but do these people have the capability and knowledge and education? This isn't bringing people back to our country to dig ditches, is it? To do major farming? I think the farming community in our country is being challenged all the time because of the green agenda. So I'm not so sure all this illegals coming here have the qualifications to be sitting in brand new, very expensive factories of the what if. And it's now the money being spent today for what's going to be tomorrow. And if anybody has a brain, that processes information, typically the way you think it'll play out, it doesn't play out that way. It never does. It never does. All right, everybody. Hey, thanks for watching my channel. Appreciate all the support and comments. Share the channel. And man, what a project. I got to drive for 7+ hours to Tennessee. And then literally I have so much going on in my business. This is not a visit time. This is a to-do time. So for me, this will be the first time for me. Really, I'm just driving Tennessee. I got to get the vehicles out of storage. Got to get them back up north here. And it's a freaking project. Oh, my God. So I'm just spending the next 2 days of just driving up down the road like I'm some freaking car hauler company. Yeah, why didn't you get in that business, right? Right, yeah, right. The way, yeah, well, pea-sized brains just don't think that big. Yeah, I get that message. All right, everybody. Hey, thanks for watching. God bless. Have a great day. Stay tuned for the adventures.